back to StrangeCast, Player One versus the World's Life is Strange podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, you here?
I'm here. I'm slowly going up on Spotify, and I'm freaking out about it.
Yes, you're going up on Spotify, and also this is episode 50.
Yay!
Woo!
50! Yay!
So we have
closer to death.
So we have hit a milestone episode. I don't think we'd ever get here. It's been quite a crazy period. I think StrangeCast was back in 2020. It launched 2020, maybe
2021. I remember. Yeah, it had to be 2021 because I remember you reached out to me to do StrangeCast right before I moved to North Dakota, and I remember you texted me, and I was just like, "Oh, you sure?" Because like I'm going to be pretty busy in the next few months because I'm packing up and I'm moving across the country from Pennsylvania to North Dakota. So, but I ended up doing it. So, yeah, it's probably 2021 then.
Yeah, I think it was 20 because I launched this YouTube channel in 2020. I think it was. And then we'd spoken over the period of that time throughout. And then 2021 was when I wanted to launch another Life is Strange podcast, but like a kind of more consistent one than Life After Strange. And I think that's when we started StrangeCast in 2021. So yeah, it's been 2 years. I think we went on a brief hiatus at one point. I gave up the YouTube channel completely. I disappeared for like 4 or 5 months, and people were like, where's he on? It's like, where's Life After Strange? Where's like StrangeCast? I think it was like 4 episodes in. I just gave it up because I was like, I'm done. I'm like frustrated. I can't bother. But we'll talk about this later as well because it's part of our topic. But as I said, it's episode 50. It's a milestone episode. So thank you very much for everyone who supported the podcast, who's supported the channel, who's continued to come back. It's constantly ticked up with numbers and it's getting better. It's like, it's gaining more traction. So thank you so much for that. But as I said, it's a milestone episode. So if you are new here as well, as always, do please consider dropping us a subscribe, turn notifications and share with your friends. It helps support the channel more than anything else. And also StrangeCast is available on all podcast services. So you can catch us on Spotify with a video version. We're on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, etc. We're no longer on Stitcher as of this month because Stitcher is going. So just as a FYI for anyone who uses Stitcher, if I've ever, I don't know if I've ever,
not Stitcher.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Stitcher.
Yeah,
no.
I just don't get Stitcher. But yeah, if you ever use Stitcher, just like let an FYI that the entire platform's going. So, nonetheless,
but it was such an important platform to put your podcast on.
But
how could they go?
But everyone talked about it though. Everyone was like, "You have to sign on Stitcher." I'm like, I've never met anyone who's told me I use my podcast for Stitcher.
Yeah, this is the third time we've mentioned this, but yeah, like again, Games and Groceries. When I was still doing that, they're like, "You have to put it on Stitcher." I'm like, "Who's on Stitcher? Who's listening to Stitcher? What's that? Why?" It's kind of like when they said like, there was another platform that they're like, "Oh, you got to put this on." I'm like, "Why?" I can't even remember it because nobody used it, but it is what it is. I believe more in Radio Public than I did with Stitcher, but
we're on that.
Radio Public,
yeah, we're on every. I think pretty much because obviously RSS feed gets sent out to everywhere, and other platforms I signed up to. So it's like I think we're pretty much on almost every service that I can possibly know of.
Yeah,
it's like I just don't know about Stitcher. It's like everyone said it to me.
No, I've used Stitcher, and it's just a garbage platform. Whereas Radio Public, there's so many cool things, like so many cool features in Radio Public, like to listen to podcasts on. Have I listened to it lately? No, because I use Spotify for everything. But when I used Radio Public, yeah, like that's the one you want to be on. But Stitcher, I was like, oh no, they're going away. Whoa, no, it's so stupid. Whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's but as we talked about, it's going. So that's just an FYI. But we are on StrangeCast episode 50, and obviously, I think the first piece of news is the biggest piece of news we need to talk about. Dropped. Was it just before the episode came out? The last 149. It was so frustrating. It happened. I think it was. Yeah. It was on the Tuesday. I'd edit the episode and everything else. We had the conversation with Alex, our listener, Dream Prison, and it was like. We got to this point and it was like this news broke and I was like, oh God. And I spoke to Adam. I was like, do you want to do a little segment video? But schedules are like almost impossible to align most of the time during the week, etc. So yeah. I was like, I'll do a solo reaction on the channel, which you can go and check out. It's on the channel. Got quite a nice amount of views, and it was just a very quick, brief conversation because obviously I said we were going to wait until this point, which is episode 50, and unfortunately it was 2 weeks after the news broke. So either way, we'll talk about it now. We're going to the Life is Strange Twitter account, 24th of July, just despite StrangeCast dropped this before the last episode came out, and it was the news, and it was big news that Life is Strange Forget Me Not is the next comic series from Comic Titans coming this November with script with script and covers by 6-time Eisner-nominated creator Zoe Forogod. I think she's called Forogod. Who created It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth, and art by Claudia Leonardi and Andrea Izzo. So that was the news that they announced from there. As I said on the other video, I did a little couple of things, but I'll bring them over here as well, which is Emma Vicelli, who was the lead comic writer in the Life is Strange series, which included Max, Chloe, and Rachel, who I've spoken to, who is really, really wonderful. Wrote and tweeted at the time, "I'm beyond chuffed to hand the Life is Strange comics baton over to Zoe Forogod."
What does chuffed mean, by the way?
Happy.
Okay. I read that tweet and I was like, chuffed? We don't have that in the States. I'm quite chuffed.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, I could get Emma's UK based as well. It was quite. I love when I get my guests on. They're all the UK lingo, but yes, chuffed is as happy. Yes,
yeah,
like ecstatic essentially. She's put, "I will always love this title and my team, but I got to finish my story. It felt the right time to step aside and see someone else's. I'm so very excited." And then also just to go to our author of the new comic series, Zoe Forogod, who wrote, "So I'm the writer for the new Life is Strange comic. Friends from high school who follow me may remember my complete obsession. Remember my complete obsession with this franchise and understand how bizarre this is for me. Anyway, explanation mark." So that was that. There was also a big press release on the Life is Strange Square Enix website, which I read in the initial reaction video. You can go and check that out. And I think it just laid out some specific sites, also where the story's going and the direction it's going with Alex and Steph as well. Adam, yes. I'm going to give you the floor here because I think this is more important for you to talk. But I do also want to bring up one comment here, which I got on one of the videos, which I think is very interesting. I don't know if we should start here or not.
Go for it.
So let me just find this comment.
Okay.
Oh, is this? Oh, is this? Right, we're getting here. You can wait 1 second.
I also put out a video on YouTube. You can go check it out on the Evolve channel. This is me plugging.
You can plug that.
Plug. It's called Why Short Games Are Disappearing. You can find it on the Evolve channel. So
here we go.
Oh, there we go. I filled the dead air.
So let's start the conversation with this, and I'll give you the floor as well, and you can give me your reaction about the comics, and you can also react to this comment. So this was on the initial reaction video I did. This was from @BRAFmusic9144, and thank you for the comment anyway, because I thought it was very interesting. I want to integrate into this topic. Here we go. They said, "I'm just going to toss the hot take out there and say I wish they'd stop bringing Steph back. Great character, but I fear the franchise is getting off track, full stop."
I got opinions about that.
Here we go. Go for it. Talk about
this. Okay, let me start with that comment first. Bringing Steph back. So am I to understand that Steph is in... Yeah, she has to be in Life is Strange Forget Me Not then.
She is, yes.
All about... Yeah, I assume she is. Bringing Steph back. Here's the problem with that comment. It is no longer... it's no longer Don't Nod's franchise. Unfortunately to say, it is no longer Don't Nod's franchise. It's sad they want it back, but it is now Deck 9's franchise. It's unfortunate to say that. It's weird to say that, but to say that like, oh, they should stop bringing her back. Okay, well, if it was still Don't Nod's, would you be saying the same thing as like saying like, oh, they should stop bringing Chloe back? They should stop bringing Chloe back. You're only saying that because you want the original characters. You don't want the new characters. You want the old characters. But unfortunately, Chloe, yes, might be saying like, oh, that's a Deck 9 character because they made Before the Storm. However, Chloe is still a Don't Nod kind of an IP. Their Chloe is unfortunately, and I say unfortunately in a way of like compensating for this comment. I think it's very fortunate. I loved Steph's story. I like that book. But Steph is their Chloe. Like, whether you like it or not, Steph is their Chloe. It is now Deck 9's franchise. And it's unfortunate to say because Luke listens to this and Michelle listens to this sometimes, and they're like, hey, still ours. Like, we know. It's like, we know. But business side wise, it's now the Alex and Steph's like franchise, no longer the Max and Chloe. So it's not really killing the franchise. It's just weighing into like leaning into what it is now a Deck 9 franchise. So it's not killing it off. It's not dying off. It just is what it is.
I want to respond to that because obviously I still want you to give the overall impression of the comic, and we can talk about the comic in detail. Just let me give you a detail here from the website, which was this is part of the story. I don't know how much you know about it, but let me just repeat it. Which was psychic empath guitarist Alex Chen and drummer, DJ, and super nerd Steph Gingrich are now touring their band across small town America. A tour of crusty venues, distracted audiences, and cold nights huddled in their camper van. As the days blur together, Alex and Steph begin to doubt their choices until they find another lost soul on the side of the road, a mysterious teenager named Lily. Oh. Alex and Steph take Lily under their wing to uncover the truth of what she's running from. But there's more to Lily than meets the eye, as she struggles under the weight of heartache and memories from lives she hasn't lived. An all too familiar story for Alex, who's lived her life buffeted.
Jimmy Buffett. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. By the emotions of others. Is there time to save Lily from a similar lonely fate? So that's the full story, and we'll break into that obviously when we go into that. And that was just context.
So what's the problem with bringing Steph into this?
Right. Okay. Let me just say this as well, because I sort of agree with the comment, and I also agree with what you're saying as well, because I agree
make me agree with this comment, because I think it's like stupid.
So I agree with what you're saying, that because Steph Gingrich is essentially Deck 9's version of mascot for them, like as Chloe and Max more so for Don't Nod. It's it's for Deck 9. It is Steph Gingrich. She's the one that's really stood out for them. So I get that when you're saying about it. There is a lot of Steph coming in here. Since obviously the hand of the directions of the series has changed since from Don't Nod. Don't Nod is no longer affiliated with the series. They've kind of like walked their separate ways. Deck 9 is more at the helm of it. It's like with Square Enix sometimes, I'm like, and by the way, let me say, I really like Steph. I do like Steph, and obviously I love Katie Vance as well.
My only argument is that, like, would you be saying the same thing if it was Chloe always bringing it back? Would they be singing the same tune?
I would.
But would this commenter be singing the same tune?
Yeah, well,
that's what I mean.
Hopefully they react to this as well in here, but I hope they agree, because I would feel the same way, because it's like with Chloe, it's like enough, just enough now. It's like, come on, we've seen enough of it. The thing is with Steph, and I've always spoken about this, and I've always given my theories, like Steph should have had a bigger, more role in this series. I think something happened, like even the way she's positioned in True Colors. At some points, I feel like you could take Alex Chen away, and that is no criticism of Alex Chen, and Steph Gingrich could be the main character of the video game. It seems like Deck 9 had such a strong association with her, and it was because of like the way that fans reacted towards her in BTS, obviously, and again, down to a lot of credit down to Katie's performance, which made her very memorable, etc. But she's like everywhere. So it's like, even with like True Colors, I think she should have been like the main character. I think like the idea initially might have been that she is the main character of the game. She could have easily sat on the front cover of it. She could have easily she could have easily done that, and then they kind of wedged Ryan in as this other relationship and freeze a room. Like, you know, it kind of makes sense with the first Life is Strange when Rachel's dead. It's like you can't have Max, Chloe, and Rachel in the same room. It's just weird. It's a very hard dynamic to deal with, and very few times I think it could work. Emma Vicelli has done that well in the comic series. But anyway, back on the point, she's everywhere. It's like she has an entire DLC based around her. Wavelengths. It's not even about Alex Chen. It's just about Steph Gingrich. Then we have a prose novel. The first ever Life is Strange prose novel is based around Steph Gingrich. All characters you could have taken from there. Even the ones that I think like that you could have put on the shelf and been like, as a Life is Strange fan, or even generally sense like if it was being Chloe,
I wanted a Mac novel.
Well, yeah, that's you might be waiting
just
for a while.
Grumble. Every page like nobody likes me. Chapter 2.
Or Angry Bald Man. It's just one page, and that's like end of the. But like she's got her own prose novel, so it's like the entire story with her, and then it's now the comic series happen, and she's also in it. Obviously, she's gonna have to be there because Alex's story, she's very much entwined with it. We saw all the different endings, but it seems like it's just been like dosage of Steph constantly for like the last 3-4 years. So I think people are kind of like thinking like, and at the same time as well, then people are like, well, I would love this as Daniel and Sean, for example. Why can't we give them a bit of attention? It's like Steph Gingrich has had more attention than the main two characters of the Life is Strange 2 game, which is very divisive, but are still very popular, Sean or Daniel. And yet this character's had more attention on it. And you're like, hang on a minute. It's like, maybe there is something here. Like, it just seems like the way that Square Enix is building it. I wouldn't be surprised if the next Life is Strange game just has Steph Gingrich. It's like, well, finally, you've just done what I expected you to do with True Colors, and it's like you find the cave into it.
A standalone Steph game, I would agree with the comment. I think I would, because if it was a standalone Steph game, like that would be like, what? I think to bring in Steph as like a prose novel or part of the comic series, like because it's fan, and I'll get to that why I think it's okay for the comics. But yeah, I think I would agree with this comment if it was just like Steph the game. It's like great for Katie Bence because I want more work for Katie Bence. I think she deserves the work. Same with Dayan Hutton. Somebody hire Dayan Hutton. She needs work. Hire Dayan Hutton. But for that, and that's just it. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't agree with it just yet. I see where they're coming from. I do. But I don't think that it's that bad. I think you'll be seeing a different tune if it was the original characters. But it is what it is.
I think the comment's interesting because I do agree with that there is my kind of like my little radar is going off where it's like with about Steph. I'm like, hang on a minute, like you're basically giving me more and more ideas, like where I keep saying to you, it's like the way that Steph is positioned in True Colors and the way she's positioned in almost all the marketing material, etc. It's like there's so much emphasis on her. It's like constantly, I'm like, and she's not necessarily, she's a favorite, she's popular, etc. But she's not Chloe Price, and she's never going to be Chloe Price. And it's like, I think from Deck Nine, it's maybe giving some kind of like stability of like, this is our character. We've kind of like, as we're changing the direction of the series, fair enough.
Yeah.
I get that. And then I get the fact that I kind of agree with the fact that they need to get the series back on track as well, because it seems like it's kind of like going like this constantly back and forth with the Life is Strange series. But it's an interesting comment to make because I did feel that way a little bit when I read the comics. I was like, yeah, cool. It kind of makes sense that she's going to have to be there because we're going off Alex Chen's story. And I feel like it would be a bit weird with her not there. But it's just the fact that she keeps popping up in almost every other little circumstance. And then she's popping up in her own kind of way as well. As I said, like the Wavelengths DLC, the prose novel, there's out include just her. I'm like, are you not like...
I think it's I think it's like it goes into what Todd Howard said about Skyrim. Like, if you don't want Skyrim anymore, stop buying it. It's like, if you don't want Steph anymore, stop paying attention to Steph. I think that's where it's coming from because Square Enix, who cares? Because Square Enix, when they see a business opportunity, they're going to take that business opportunity. When they see a trend, they're going to take that trend. And unfortunately, if they're popping up Steph, that means enough people are focusing on Steph, where they're taking it. In the same way where Todd Howard's like, well, if you don't want us to keep making Skyrim, stop buying Skyrim. It's like one of those. But I don't know. That's just me. I'm not normally a pessimist. Like, Adnan hates me because I'm not a pessimist.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
But that's what I mean. Like, I am very much. This is the only time you'll ever see me as a pessimist. Is when, like, I see a business opportunity. It's like, oh, you want this? Like, stop giving us that. I'm like, then stop asking for it. Like, what do you want then? I don't know. I think this is also me being a restaurant person, where I think the customer's always wrong. Always. Stop giving me. Hey, if you go to restaurants, stop giving me bullcrap tickets that I can't make, and it's a stupid meal. Stop paying $18 for just spaghetti and red sauce. Don't give me any more than that. Don't go to a restaurant then. I once had an order for macaroni noodles and red sauce. That's it. They paid close to $20 for that. Stop it. Get help. The customer's always wrong. But anyways, to my other point to the comics, right? It's kind of sad that Emma is no longer the writer. It is. However, I do like what Zoe said. From anyone from high school who follows me may remember my complete obsession with this franchise. I always love it when somebody is writing for a franchise is actually a huge mega fan of the series. I think it's very much possible that you don't have to play the games. In fact, the Gears of War novels, right?
Right.
They were great novels. The author didn't play a single second of Gears of War. Didn't play anything. Has never played Gears of War. In fact, the 1989 Batman film, right? By
Tim Burton.
Was that Tim Burton? Thank you. I was like, oh no. I was just like, I couldn't remember his name. I almost said Edward Scissorhands.
You're close there. Johnny Depp, Tim Burton is a winning
Yeah.
combo, but yeah.
But Tim Burton famously has said that he does not like comic books. He never reads comics. He's before making that Batman movie, which is deemed to be one of the greatest Batman movies of all time, never read a single Batman comic ever. So my point in saying that is that it's possible for somebody to like not be a fan of the franchise and still make a great piece of media from that franchise. It's possible. But I always love it when somebody comes in with a fresh mind and just say like, I understand the series. I love this series. I know how it works. It can also be a detriment because you're going off of your own bias for the game and what you think about the game and what one's fans' perspective is of the game. So you're only going to see that perspective. There's that caveat. However, I think there's more good than there is bad because once you're a super fan, you understand the rules, you understand what makes the game good, and that way you're going to write something better. That's why I liked Steph's story, because I felt in my heart as a Life is Strange fan, I thought Steph's story understood Life is Strange more than Life is Strange True Colors did. I think in the heart of it, I think Steph's story captured what Life is Strange was rather than True Colors did. True Colors didn't really feel like a Life is Strange game. It didn't like it felt like it, but it felt like a certain Life is Strange game. Let's just put it that way. It felt like a certain one. Whereas Steph's story, I think, captured what makes Life is Strange. So I'm excited to see this for a super fan of the series, of the franchise. Sad to see Emma go because I think Emma has done fantastic work for the comics. I've only read the first volume, but I think Emma is chuffed to let someone else do it. But I think it's a good thing that Zoe's taking this aboard, and I'm excited to read this. But I'm gonna say that it's gonna understand what Life is Strange is more than True Colors once again did. Yeah, I think so. I think it's gonna understand it more. Now, when you read me the premise,
it's very similar to the Vicelli series, just based on that premise.
It very much is. However, I'm not going to make any judgment just yet because a premise, you can read the premise of any movie, right? And be like, what? Like, why? But the movie is fantastic. Like, if you told me that Into the Spider-Verse is like, oh yeah, it's about Miles Morales and he goes into the multiverse and he finds other spider people and it's an animated Spider-Man movie, I'm like, okay. One of my favorite movies of all time. Straight up. Like, that's the thing. It's just like a premise can only give you so much until you actually read it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It is what it is.
I think the idea does very much stem from the idea that they had from the original series with Emma Vicelli, because like obviously Emma's pitch was very different from what she wanted to do with the actual comic series. It was ultimately, down to Titan and Square Enix to go down the route that they did with her as well. Because Emma Vicelli's series, like, she wanted to kind of like go into like she said to me, like, she alluded to, like, she always go down to the history of the Vortex Club and like look at stuff. Oh, like, that's actually really dope as well. But instead we went down the route that we did with the actual comic series, which was good, but it's a bit different. But like this one seems, from where, because I only read the 5 volumes of that. I think I read the 3, and I'm going to start getting back through them now, week by week, and then catch up to the end of it. But it's like, with the original comic series, not to ruin anything either, like, that's where we're up to. Like, this kind of premise, it's like these two are kind of like drifting from venue to venue. It's like, that's very similar. And then there's a mysterious character that appears. Yes, that's very similar as well. It happens in the first series with the Emma Vicelli one. It's like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they're going down the same route, because obviously you can just transplant 2 other Life is Strange characters into this place and be like, right, we're going to use the same premise. And obviously, it is a for me to see Emma leave, that's kind of like a tough one, because I really liked Emma Vicelli, and I think with her though as well, it's the right time, because it's like she's more associated with the Don't Nod games. Like, she really loved the Don't Nod original game, and obviously for Zoe, it's like, this is a different kind. We're going, like, True Colors is the really different pot of gravy for like Life is Strange. It's like the one where Deck and I really had its own outing with the series from the very beginning, like truly, and making its own universe and characters. I love the fact that they kept Claudia Leonardi's art and Andrea Ezio. Like, like Claudia Leonardi, like her covers are I would love to like just get this entire wall plastered with her cover designs. Like they're so great. Like if you see over there as well, if you can see right there next to Lightning, there's one of the custom designs that came from the original Life is Strange series. That's signed by Emma Vicelli. And there's another one next to it. Yeah. There were pre-order bonuses from Forbidden Planet. Let me see if I can move my setup without destroying everything. So you can see the one there, which is the skull, and then there's one next to it, which is another one. So they were part of Forbidden Planet's pre-orders for the, I think the first 2 series of Life is Strange volumes that we had. And I think they're both signed by Emma Vicelli as well. Obviously, that one's a Chloe design as well, more so. Black, yeah, there we go.
Dang.
So yeah, we it's back on the point though. It's like, yeah, I'm glad that they're keeping Claudio Leonardi's designs and obviously Andrea Izio's coloring as well. They're just so good. They're so good, like the way that they design things. But yeah, I'm kind of interested to see what they do with this. Like again, this kind of like raises me different kind of like things that go forward. I definitely think that this might not even be the last we see of Alex Chen, even in a video game.
Yes.
Like, I think like we could potentially even see her back in a future video game. Like I don't know if Life is Strange is in development for another game. I don't know where it's at. I don't know what they're doing with it at the minute from my own sources as well. I don't really know at the minute. But it's like I wouldn't rule out the fact that you could even have the first scenario where you have like Alex Chen as the first main reoccurring character who takes center stage again, or even Steph. We get Steph cover and thinking we know. Then we'll revisit that comment as well. But it's extended though, as you said. I think like they're treating they're giving the Deck 9 treatment to what they did to the Don't Nod treatment, where it's like Max and Chloe's story, which was like everyone was like, we want more Max and Chloe, and Square Enix were like, we'll give you more Max and Chloe, and we'll do it in this volume series of Life is Strange comics. That eventually turned into 6 volumes. It was never meant to be that long. It turned to 6 volumes, and now they're kind of like, you know, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it with 2 of the fan favorite Deck 9 characters, which obviously Alex Chen and Steph Gingrich. So we're going to give you that kind of treatment. So I kind of expected it. I kind of expected them to do something like this. I didn't expect them to just randomly drop it. I was expecting it to happen a bit more further down the line because obviously Steph's story had just come out. But yeah, it'll be interesting though. This is more, as you said. I think this alludes more towards the fan heavy centric part because like Emma was a fan of Life is Strange. She was a fan. Like she was an artist at first, like where she drew Life is Strange comics. She drew a lot of Life is Strange fan art. Sorry, she's got a massive background in drawing. She's not a writer necessarily. She became a writer more heavily because of Life is Strange. But she's like got a big background in drawing, and she used to draw a lot of Life is Strange pictures and stuff and etc. And that kind of gave her room to it. And they were like, you know, there's a really great fan here who can write the comic series. And it's like the same with Zori Forragod. It's like we got an opportunity here to have someone who's obviously a big fan of the Deck 9 stuff, etc. We can kind of like explore these characters a lot more in substance as well. So I'm interested. I'll pick them up as always, and I want to kind of go into it. But yeah, it's quite cool though. I love the cover as well. Again, like as I said, Claudia Leonardi's like artwork is so cute, it's so wonderful, and I just love the way she brings things to life. But yeah, Forget Me Not, that's quite interesting for a thing.
Yeah, I am glad that they're keeping artists because as a comic reader, these are just this tip of the iceberg of my comic collection. These are some of my graphic novels. Once you change the art, man, it's such a weird thing to like. It's happened in the same series of like maybe like Moon Knights, right? Where like I'll read a Moon Knight comic and like they change artists in the middle of the series. I'm like, help me.
Yeah.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but yeah, that's happened before. But I'm glad they're keeping the artists. Like once you change the art of something, it's just like it scares me. So very happy about that.
I hope they give this comic series the same kind of treatment that they did to the other volumes that they did with Vicelli in terms of like, you know, I was joking when it says like they're kind of like on the road and stuff. I'd love to see Gladys turn up, which is the camper van that Max, Chloe, and Rachel are in during the tour when they're doing that. And I love it. It's like this ancient like thing, you know, that's being given to this van. But I love that if they had the same kind of like little wit and charm with it, and the same like even like I want cameos to appear. Like I love in Life is Strange original volumes that there was cameos from other characters that started appearing from different things. And I feel like this is the opportunity. Like we've always had this kind of idea where like I don't know if you want it or not, but fans have always wanted like a multiverse with Life is Strange characters and stuff, and like, you know, eventuality of like people coming together. But like I want them to kind of like really integrate that and have those characters that appear from like different games to come in there. It'd be quite nice. And even some of the Don't Know creations, it'd be quite interesting to see if you see one or two other characters floating around.
Yeah, definitely.
But maybe you'll get more exposition and other things. Maybe you even get like Mikey coming on the road with them at some point, because obviously we saw more connection between Mikey and Steph in the Wavelengths DLC, etc. So it's like you have opportunities there to kind of open up more storylines and whatever and not. But I am interested to see it. I'm interested to see how it works. I'm very interested to see how opposite it is to the Max and Chloe story arc, because it'll be quite a telling sign of it. But I think, as you said, probably from a business strategy point, Steph seems to have done well for Life is Fair to Square Enix, and they're probably just keeping on top of it now. Like they for me as well, I've always said this a lot. I think Square Enix really dropped the ball when Life is Strange came out in the first place. When the popularity surged to like next level, they should have really released more stuff around those two original characters. But perhaps this is an opportunity for them. But as I said, we'll keep on top of this. We'll follow it all the way through. If we start picking up the volumes, we can even review it in real time on StrangeCast. Maybe it'll help as well with the numbers and keep people entertained. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Adam, should we move on to the next topic?
Sure thing. I'm actually interested in this one. Yeah.
Indeed. So we are moving on to, yes, I've got the right topic. We are going to Don't Nod now instead. So this is news that was dropped on the 2nd of August. Apologies. And Don't Nod tweeted saying, exciting news. We're going to Gamescom 2023. Jusant will be present at the Xbox Gamescom booth Hall 8. So be sure to stop by and play it if you're attending. So that was basically the news that were happening. I just wanted to pop that in. I don't know how long this topic will be anyway. It was interesting that, as we had Alex in our last episode, and he was tweeting at Oscar Gilbert and Don't Nod saying, get the demo back up. The demo is going to Gamescom in, I believe it's Cologne, Germany. That'll be at.
Yep.
And yeah, so yeah, like Jusant is getting its fair share of attention. I saw it even in the Guardian newspaper as well, which is quite surprising. They're very niche with things. I think they spoke to two of the developers who were working on it.
This kind of game shouldn't get this much. When I say shouldn't, I don't mean like they don't deserve it, but a game like this, like doesn't usually get this much kind of marketing attention. It's just a chill climbing game. I watched William Hella's video on Jusant, and I'm just like, man, this game, like these games usually don't get this much attention and enough growth, but Don't Nod is doing their work to like saying like, hey, we're marketing our games, we're really coming forward with this. So
they have to. Do you remember that interview we did? One of the interviews from last year when we talked about games industry bits last year, early this year, and they were talking about the restructuring of Don't Nod, and when they did the rebrand designs and stuff, they're like, we have a marketing team.
And they still spell it Don't Nod, like the capitals. They still do it.
But it's a marketing team that they brought in, rebranding, because like these projects are all like the main 6 projects that they're doing are like self-funded, that they said. And it's like the only one that they have any collaboration with is with Focus on Banishers. So it's like for them, they're gonna have to like throw everything out there and try to get as much attention as possible. It's nice that they're doing it with Xbox. Xbox is good to do this as well. I think Xbox is having a resurgence, as we spoke of off podcast. And I think Microsoft might be a big player for them as well. Do you know something funny, Adam? When I spoke to Alex, who's making her game, which has been Kickstart funded as well. Congratulations, Alex.
Nice.
It's been it hits Kickstarter goal. She's making very much a Life is Strange inspired game. And you can go and check out the interview. When I spoke to her about it, because I said to her, I was like, do you have any plans to release your game on Switch? I was like, because obviously it seems like something could happen, and they've kind of announced that there's a Switch game that could be working on as well to get in there. But she said to me, like, one of the best things for her as a developer, she said that Xbox was the easiest platform to use as a developer kit, and like to kind of like get things.
I've heard that before too. Yeah,
and the funny part, I didn't even think about it. I thought it'd be like Sony, because like Sony's for me in my head has always had that affiliation with indie games and studios and stuff. I didn't expect it with Xbox. I was like, hang on a minute, and then I'm like, you know, when
there's a lot of indie developers that I speak with, including Nick DiPaolo, who developed Adam's Ascending, and now he's doing Crimson Tide. There's a lot of indie developers that I speak to, and they're like, yeah, Xbox is really pushing now for indie developers. Like ID at Xbox, they want that indie platform more than Nintendo does for some reason. But
Nintendo's Nintendo, aren't they?
Yeah, like they have so much shovelware on their site, and yet like for indies, it apparently is like one of the harder ones to get on. So I have heard from other developers that like, Xbox is one of the easiest ones to get on with.
See, my perception with Nintendo is I think they like the indie games, but they're like, we don't need to accommodate for you too much. It's like we have our own. We already have the bank. They have. They
I was about to say they deserve to say that too. It's like we don't need you.
Well, Nintendo's the Disney of that world, isn't it? Like their IPs and franchises are that successful. So they're like, well, why are we going to have to like bend over backwards for the people? So when they have,
I actually made a video on that too. That Nintendo is Disney. So
yeah, so that's what I mean. Like they're like that. It's like when because obviously the news came out where it's like a rumored console that's expected to come out in 2024. But it's like
wasn't it like there was a story that like way back in the day, like Microsoft tried to buy Nintendo and Nintendo literally laughed in their face. Like, okay, get out. And they were right to say that. Nintendo knows what they're doing.
Yeah, but they don't need to do that. It's like when they've always said, like when people are getting jitters about the consoles, and it's like the Switch has been out for a while, and it's like, oh, is it going to, sales going down, then like their investors are getting a bit shaken, and it's like, well, here's Zelda, and Zelda sells about 50 million plus copies like that. And again, it doesn't have to have the same budget as what Sony's flinging at like AAA games or Microsoft's flinging at it. It can be a smaller budget, and it's just selling millions and millions of copies. So it's like for them, like for collaboration with indie studios, they don't necessarily need to do it, and that's why it probably whatever. But anyway, we've like this one though. I like the fact that I think that there's going to be more of Don't Nod and Xbox. Don't Nod X Xbox will be something more. We've seen that with Tell Me Why anyway. I think that this isn't just done at this point. I think there's going to be more of an Xbox brand kind of like.
And I did look it up to confirm because I was like, am I right? I was correct to say that like Jusant is coming to Game Pass as well. So it's coming to Game Pass. And it's just like
boy Phil's making moves.
I know. It's like one of those things like Tell Me Why it was
Games
published by Xbox. Now Jusant is coming to Gamescom and coming to Game Pass. I don't think that Xbox is going to buy Don't Nod. I just think there's going to be a strong partnership moving forward. I don't think Don't Nod is in the market to be bought. I don't think they want to be bought right now.
But it could be bought.
They could be. They definitely could. I think it's in the realm of possibilities. I don't think with the plans that they have right now, I don't think they want to be purchased. Much like I think Sega said that they don't want to be purchased right now. Like Xbox wanted to purchase Sega. I think Sega said like, nope, we don't want to be purchased just yet. And I'm like, then put out Jet Set Radio Future, please just put it out. But they won't. They won't. Adam can't be happy.
They were talking to Sega about that because obviously from the FTC court case with Microsoft over the Activision Blizzard deal, there was news in that Phil Spencer and Xbox were looking at acquisitions. Square Enix was one of them we spoke about, and obviously Sega was the big one that Square people Enix saw.
Also, From Software was one of them, which was interesting. But no, I think there's going to be a strong partnership with Don't Nod an Xbox. I don't see a purchase coming anytime soon. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just going to be a very strong partnership on Xbox.
Because thing is though, for like Activision, because obviously like now the microscope is on Xbox, like because like, Microsoft can't go and buy like 15 million studios because it's like it doesn't make sense. That's why like the Activision Blizzard deal will go through for me, because it's like now a lot of the kind of roads have been opened, obstacles are gone, and like I said, more my issue would have been if the Microsoft was like, we're going to buy EA, we're buying Activision, and we're also buying Take-Two. I'm like, okay, that's a monopoly. Like for me, I think that, and with Don't Nod as well, I think Don't Nod will get acquired in the future. I think it's going to be, unfortunately, Tencent. Tencent owns about a 22% stake in Don't Nod. And it kills me every time. Yeah. And it kills me every time I talk about it because I don't like Tencent. I despise Tencent in every fibre of my bone. But I think like that acquisition will happen, and I think it'll be by a external company. Do you like how like Saudi Arabia is buying stakes in Nintendo and EA? I think there's going to keep happening. I think Tencent will look at Don't Nod being like, we'll take the biggest stake in here. So unfortunately, I think that will happen. I think I agree with you. I think Philly Boy and his men will start making partnerships with Don't Nod. I think they'll do what, because obviously a lot of egg has happened on Sony's face with the Call of Duty deals that they did with Activision and even with Square Enix as well, with like deals with like Final Fantasy. So I see Xbox being like, you know what, we might take a punt on this French studio, French developer, publisher, and we'll make a couple of arrangements, do like here and there deals. We've worked with them before, and Tell Me Why. And as well, on top of that, Jusant needs to be on Games Pass. It's great that.
Yes.
Great. It's going to put more eyes on Jusant. Because Games Pass is a great service. Like I don't own Games Pass, but I love the fact that if for me I paid for the monthly subscription and I want the main games I do, at that point I could be like, I'm not, and this is not disrespect. I'm bored. I want to experiment. I want to try something else. Hey, Jusant's on there. Instead of paying X amount of money, I'm going to play it, and then you're actually like, oh, that was a really great game. It turned out well, and you're putting products in it. Same with Tell Me Why. Like, if you put Tell Me Why with a $40 price tag in the shop, not many people are going to pick it up and buy it. And that's not even disrespectful. I think it's a great game, but
as someone who does subscribe to Game Pass, I always seen Game Pass as like a pay monthly demo service.
Yeah.
So it's like I pay my monthly subscription, and like I can demo the games they allow me to put a demo on. And if I really like it, like I did with that's how I got really into Night in the Woods. Like Night in the Woods was on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And it was gonna leave Game Pass. I was like, no, I like this game. I want to play it every fall, every year. So I bought it. You know, like I see it as just my monthly demo service. And that's how I see it. Now, some people say that, like, by some people, I mean business insiders, say that like it affects the sales of games. I can definitely see that. I can for sure see that, because there are some times where I'm just like, oh, I played it a little bit, I'm not interested in buying it, and they lost the sale. Like I basically got the game for free, basically. Yeah. And I played it and I was like, not interested, and they lost the sale. So I can see it that happening. But yeah, Jusant being on there, like it's not going to stay on Game Pass. Not like Tell Me Why is, because Tell Me Why is published by Xbox. But Jusant like might leave Game Pass, and people are like, no, I want to buy it and solve more puzzles. Boom, so, there we go.
You know, because what you said was right as well. Because like Bobby Kotick said this, the Activision CEO, like he said that he was very much opposing like Games Pass as an idea of like putting Activision games on it, because it's like they lose sales on it. I think the video games industry is going to struggle with that, because it's the only industry that is putting pushback on it, because every other industry has changed. Music's changed. You can buy your CDs, you can buy your vinyl, your vinyls, but at the same time, it's like you can do it's vinyl.
I thought you were trying to say Vimeo.
No,
this
Vimeo.
Whole time.
Vinyl. I was like vinyl, and I was like
vinyl.
No, vinyls. Sorry, CDs. You can buy your CDs. You can buy your vinyls. You can buy whatever else you want as well. But at the same time, most people will gravitate towards music streaming services, and it's the same with like films as well. You can go to a cinema still. You can buy Blu-rays. You can buy even DVDs if you want. But you're going to go to your Netflixes, your Amazon Primes, etc. All that. And it's like video games, the only ones aren't there yet. So it's like Xbox Games Pass is the main platform for it. I think the pushback can keep happening, because obviously we'll lose money and stuff, but I think games are going to have to convert to it, because like
I think I was even going to say, like on the venture of music, I agree with you. As someone who is kind of a musician myself,
never heard that.
Everybody like hates on Spotify, like they don't pay their artists, blah blah blah. I'm like, sure, I can agree with that with the big guys, but however, the difference between Game Pass and game sales, right, and Spotify and music sales, right, I don't have the capital to put out physical pieces of media. I have Bandcamp that you can buy my music on, but sometimes I just put that on for free. I use Spotify to get my name out there, like, because Spotify's algorithm will get my name out there. And luckily I got on a playlist, and now I'm up to 550 listeners. So that's good because of Spotify. It's because of Spotify that I got my name out there. Can you say the same thing about Game Pass? Not necessarily, because the only reason why you're on an Xbox platform, the only reason why you're on an Xbox platform is that you're trying to sell your game. You're not trying to get your name out there. You're trying to sell your game. You're using other avenues to get your game out there. So I don't think Game Pass is in the same way as Spotify, because Spotify for indie artists is the only way we can get our names out there. Whereas Game Pass, you could say that like, oh, it gets our name out there. It's different. It's so different. It's not the same thing as Spotify, because you can find other avenues to get your name out there, while also selling your game. I don't know. it's so weird. Like you said, it's not there yet, but I would just wanted to defend Spotify for a second.
No, it's right, because it's like it's easy to throw like down on something and then be like, oh, it's the demon in the world and stuff. But it's like music's changed
Spotify
that way, and people
is getting my name out there. So like,
yeah,
I hate when people are just like, oh, it doesn't treat artists right. Maybe not in my future, but I'll find a different avenue, because then I'll have the capital to go to a different avenue. I don't know.
Yeah, it also helps the little guys as well, and also the big musicians as well. They make enough money from other things as well. It's not the end of the world for them as well. Music's changed. People,
most artists. I'm sorry, I need to go on a tiny rant. When they just say that, like, oh, it doesn't pay the artist right. Even back in the day, in the 90s, okay, let's put this out here, that musicians never made the most money on the music themselves.
No.
They made it on two different avenues: touring and merchandise. That was the big avenue for money. So anybody that says like, oh, Spotify won't treat the artist right because they won't make money off the music, they've never made money off their music. Never. Do you know how many times in the past of the music industry where it's everybody, oh my God. Okay. I'm landing my plane now. I'm landing my plane in this rant, because I hate when people say like, oh, the music industry is so screwed. It's always been screwed. I'm sorry to tell you, spoiler, it's always been screwed for the artist every day. It's always been exploitation, and it's always, you had to do like 5 different avenues to make revenue, even as a professional musician. It's never been good as a musician, ever. The music industry has always been screwed, will always be screwed. Just listen to Spotify. Stop being a protester. Just listen to indie artists like me, Cast a Garden. Make me some listens. Okay, rant over. Bye.
Well, I'm betting you hope that TikTok music launches as well as compared to Spotify, because that's just even more of a great platform for you guys.
Oh man, like it's so hard being an artist without a TikTok right now. It's so hard, because if it doesn't blow up on TikTok, you're not doing anything.
No.
I don't know. The music industry is always going to be screwed. It's always going to be screwed.
Yeah.
But
every industry is, but like back onto the kind of like final point of it. Yeah, it's great to see Jusant is going to Gamescom as well, and especially in that European hub as well. So big publicity for that, and we'll keep an eye on it as well. You got anything else to
add? Stop blaming music as the way of the devil.
That as well. Yeah. So we'll move on to our final news piece. It's a little bit outdated, but again, it was caught in that period of when we, before we release episodes, but I'm going to do it anyway. So on July the 28th, Don't Nod tweeted, 8 years ago, episode 4 of Life is Strange Darkroom was released. Yes. Max and Chloe experience alternate timelines and intense revelations. Ooh. How did you like this episode? So just a bit of a throwback conversation on this. Yeah, it was not very... What an episode.
The worst episode of all time.
What an episode for a penultimate episode. What a great experience that was. It's funny because Adam, I have a friend who's playing Life is Strange for the first time. He's playing it through... Oh, actually, here's a funny part, because I've just opened up my Facebook Messenger, because I'm putting the notes back up. And I've just seen his message, and he's put Jefferson, question, exclamation mark, question, exclamation mark.
That's awesome.
Timing of that was just perfect. But yeah, I just seen his message out.
Because like even to this day, like you don't see that coming, dude. Like it's such a, oh my God, Life is Strange, the first game, is such a well-paced, well-written piece of media that even today, that like you don't see it coming. Me and you saw Jetterson coming in true colors, like from a mile away, because we've seen it before. Yeah. But like when you play Life is Strange for the first time, you don't see it coming. I'm curious to know, because me and you saw it coming in true colors. I'm curious to know if True Colors was their first Life is Strange game. I wonder if they had the same reaction, like shock. But I doubt it, because it wasn't as paced or as like written to not look at Jefferson. It was so well written. I will never write a piece of media as good as Life is Strange. At least episode 4. It's so good.
Episode 4 is so, like it's a toss. It's a toss between episode 3 and 4 for me. Like especially like those 2 episodes are just something. But it's the 4th one, man. The setup. I was watching like even before we did this as well this week, I saw a couple of videos flying around, and I watched the streamers react to episode 4's ending. And it's like, I've never really went into that kind of bubble, but just like watching it back and seeing people's reaction. Like I would say to people, like this was one of the games that I was reviewing at this point when I was writing for Hardcore Gamer. And I remember playing this, and it was under embargo, and I was like, holy hell. It's like, we got to the ending. I was like, holy hell. And I remember I was on the Reddit forums. I was looking at it. It's like people like doing previews for it, and they're like, oh, what do you think's going to happen? I'm like,
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen right now.
Exactly.
It's like you have no idea what's about to happen. But no, it's because like it's the suspense with episode 4. So basically, like, because like what happens with Life is Strange in the 5 episodes, it's constantly shifting. So it's like mini storylines that are constantly alternating, and even the entire thing of like who killed Rachel Amber isn't a big thing of the game. It's like where has Rachel Amber disappeared to? And it's like you're not going with the because like this is why it does better than True Colors. So True Colors is like, why did Gabe die? So it was always like, why did Gabe die? There has to be a conspiracy theory. Instead, it was like Rachel Amber has disappeared. Is Rachel Amber still alive? Is she like has she run away? Is she going to turn up? Is she being killed? It was like all the different scenarios.
Is Frank like storing her away, like stowing her away? We don't know.
So it's all kinds of things, but at the same time, you have these other storylines. So it's like Max's the timeline in terms of like, God damn it, we don't swear on this podcast anymore. Max is messing up the timeline. She's messing up the timeline, so she has her own story with Chloe. Chloe has her own story with Max. You have the entire like this. I'm talking about the entire series, but in general, you have the entire storyline with Kate. You have this storyline, so everything keeps moving. And by the time you get to episode 4, it's like actually we're going to get you to the point where you're meant to be thinking, which was meant to be that Rachel Amber's disappeared, and we're going to tell you what it is. And it's like even the little cheeky part that is like just before the scene when you get like before you get to the junkyard and find Rachel's remains, and like you go back to the area where you started not when you find her remains, when you go back to the area, and it's before Jefferson turns up. It's like that you have that entire sequence where they go back to the school.
By the way, that TikTok you sent me, like that was so messed up. I think the TikTok was like, how did they know? And Chloe's like saying to Rachel, like, oh, you're gonna be so dead. And then it's like it flashed forward to episode 4, like Rachel. I'm like,
it's so messed up.
I'm like, why, dude?
My favorite part of that entire episode is the entire point when you go to the school and it's a Vortex Club party, and then Jefferson turns up and he talks to you and talks to Chloe Max, and that's like the sinister kind of like, we're revealing what's going to happen and we're waiting for it. It's like this guy who's like being really. Who Jefferson is weird. He's a weird guy, and it's like I expect him to be a bit like I'm like, hang on a minute, I don't trust this guy, but he does the thing that what I always say with the first Life is Strange for me in the nutshell always reminds me of the first Scream by Wes Craven. It's so well at conveying expectations, and whatever else you expect to happen, you're not going to get it. And it's like when you get to episode 4. And he turns up just in that school section and starts talking to Chloe and Max. It's so sinister. Because then he starts addressing Chloe, and he's like talking to her, and he's like looking at it, it's like he's talking to Max. It's like he knows what he's done. You're the person that you're trying to look for Rachel Amber, and it's like, it's him. And then when he turns up as well, and it's like he's like bang, headshot on Chloe, and it's like, God damn.
And no words spoken, just Jefferson's face.
This is revealed.
Like, that's what I wanted. Because like True Colors, the way he did it is like, oh, I'm sorry, I had to do it. Like, no, like just that scowl on his face, just like, just like not evil, just kind of like, like no words spoken. That was the best ending that could have happened. I was just like, wow, dude. Oh my God. It still sends me chills.
And that's in between all the other stuff as well that happens in the episode. Like when you go to the barn sequence, and it's like, that's quite cool to kind of open up the dark room. And then on top of that, you get the entire, like, the investigation segment. We can start deciding, you have to put everything together now. It's like, we've got all the evidence. We need to figure out how to get to the bar. We need to figure out what the dark room is. We need to figure out what's happened to Rachel Amber. We need to figure out everything else that's happened. And it's like, you have everything comes together. It's like basically like the reward is there. 3 episodes before it, we're now having a reward section, and it's like the penultimate episode, and then it's like, bang, we're ending here. It's like, as he said, it's just the way he does it as well. It's like that entire scene, like better part of 30 seconds, is outstandingly shot. Like the fact that she gets hit with the injection, you see Max falling, she's trying to reverse time. Again, it's kind of like saying, don't rely on this one power. It's not always going to be the escape. Warns Chloe. Chloe turns around, gets shot in the head. It's like, bang, she is dead. There's a kind of like thing where she's like lying on the floor, blood pouring out her, etc. And then, as you said, it's the man of the hour. He comes out with a scowl, and it's like, holy hell. And it's like, dumb. And it's like, it's almost like a old school TV style. It's like, dumb. As the end of the episode, it's like, oh, damn. Great episode. Great episode. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just find it funny that I just sort of, that was my favorite moment, that I just opened up a Facebook chat, and it's like, it said Jefferson with question mark, exclamation mark. I was like,
Jefferson.
exactly how I feel. And this was the first time he's playing it ever. And it's like I've obviously played like better part of 8 years ago, which feels crazy. But I've never got over that twist. It's one of the best twists in any episodic game I've ever played, at least.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I'm still impressed with it to this day. Like I still want to like boot it up every now and again. If I wasn't so busy with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it's one of those games that like I could play that again and again and again. It's up there with Oxenfree for me, where I'm like doesn't matter how old I get or how many times I've played it, Life is Strange will always like be in there for me, like for that like heart moment. So
yeah,
definitely Absolutely. Episode 4.
Yeah, kudos to episode 4. I know it's a bit of time, obviously, and even when this episode drops, it'll be more time since the anniversary. But I wanted to bring it up because it's such a great episode. Adam, should we move on to our other topic?
Yes, I have some things to say.
Yeah, so this is a subtopic. It's almost two topics because our main topic is just like a look back on StrangeCast reaching 50 and stuff. But this is the other topic, and I didn't know how I really wanted to put this on the channel. I was thinking about doing potentially separate episodes. I was thinking about getting rid of Spread the Arts for like a couple of episodes, but in between we'll just insert into StrangeCast in some way, which is obviously going to be our review for the first episode, The Expanse, a Telltale series. Prior to this, Adam and I have decided not to do a spoiler cast, so we'll try and keep it as spoiler free as humanly possible, and we'll just walk through episode by episode because I think it's every 2 weeks these come out. These episodes
every 2 weeks. Yep. So the next one will come out soon, I think. Actually,
yeah.
Wait. Oh man, let me look that up. Actually, so
when did the last one come out?
It might be out by the time this episode comes out.
I think it is.
Yeah, The Expanse.
Or is it the week after?
Let me just check. Can't access it. What? Why would you want to access it if you're talking every 2 weeks? In fact, episode 2 weeks from now. That was 9 days ago. Wait, what? Okay. Oh, August 10th. There we go. Okay, now I'm on the official.
So it will be next week.
Yep, it goes from August 10th. Yeah, August 10th, August 24th. September 7th and September 21st. So yeah, every 2 weeks. So by the time this episode drops, it will actually be tomorrow. The episode 2 will drop from the time this episode comes out.
Oh,
so yeah. Bang,
do a quick job to get this out.
Yeah, like, right.
Get edited and something and get it on there. See you later, guys. Enjoy this episode whilst I'm playing The Expanse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Let's bring that up. Yeah, you'll be playing it the time this episode comes on. I will not be playing this episode by the time this episode comes on. Can I rant a little bit about that? Just a little bit.
You can in a second, because I'm gonna need to remind myself to message you just before I start up as well, just so I can send it to you. So as I said, this will just be a little conversation. It'll be a little mini review segment. We kind of decided not to do a spoiler cast because people will be playing it in real time. So we'll try and refrain from spoilers and reel it in. And we'll do a general chit chat, and then we'll go into all the main topics. So start with Adam. I'll let you have the floor here because, as you said, you're burning at this point.
So upset about this, and like Telltale has not commented about this. Square Enix hasn't commented. Deck 9 hasn't commented.
Wait, why is Square Enix going to comment on it?
I know, but like nobody's commented on it. Is that like, so we had originally said, and we were both excited for it, that when you buy the deluxe edition, you will get the game 24 hours early access. I don't remember seeing only PlayStation PC. Don't remember that being marketed. I don't remember that ever being said, because if they did say that, I probably would have still bought the deluxe just to get the DLC. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But like part of the big reason why I bought the deluxe is so that I can play it 24 hours early access. Come to find out that on release, I kept trying to boot it up in the 24 hours early access, and you kept saying like, "Oh yeah, it's so good," and I couldn't play it. And I was like, "What the heck?" And I look on the site if you're bought it on PlayStation or PC. So it's like, I would have been, here's the thing, I would have been less upset if it said like only PlayStation. But the fact that it's PlayStation and PC, but not Xbox, like that rubs me the wrong way. I'm just like, excuse me? So like Xbox is the only people to like not be a part of this, even though like Xbox is reaching out to Square Enix. Something had to have happened.
Wait, why do you keep mentioning Square Enix?
Well, because Square Enix is the one like publishing it, isn't it?
No.
Wait, really?
It's Telltale and Deck 9 that are doing it.
I thought it was Square Enix too, because
No,
Square Enix
they're not
Deck
involved
9.
in it.
Oh, okay, got it. Like, so wait, so Telltale is Yeah, I'm stupid. So like Telltale, well, this is the same thing where Oxenfree 2, it's on every single platform, including mobile, but not on Xbox. Same thing coming over here, where like Telltale is giving you early access, except for Xbox, and just like, what is going on right now? It's kind of like, again, I would be more pissed if it was only PlayStation. Or no, I would be more understand if it was only PlayStation. I'd be more pissed if it was, oh, you get the game 2 days, 3 days early before anybody else, except for Xbox. It's only 24 hours. So it's not the biggest deal in the world. But it's the fact that like you buy a deluxe edition and everybody else gets 24 hours early access except for Xbox. Like, why? And when I read articles, I read Reddits, but like all these Xbox players were always like, yeah, I didn't see this marketed either. But if it's marketed as like, if you buy it on PlayStation, you get it 24 hours early access.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been fine. But the fact that it's 2 other platforms, but not Xbox, I don't know. It's just so stupid. It's just stupid. Like, it's so dumb. But they won't. Yeah.
My message to you is get good. That's what you need to do. GG, bro. Get good.
But that's what I mean, though. It's just kind of like, I hate that it has to happen like that. But again, I would have been so much more less upset if it was just PlayStation. I've been way less upset. I'm like, okay, you know, it's a reason to get a PlayStation. It's a reason to get it on PlayStation if you have all the platforms. It's a reason to do it. It's just like, come on, dude. Like, that's just a rip. And the fact that Oxenfree...
Listeners, by the way, this man doesn't get angry a lot. It's usually me that rants are raised. So when he goes on like rant like this, you can tell it's something that is really, really just bugged. Not even angry, but just like bugged by something. And it's like, this is an example of it. Because I knew how deeply upset you were in the messages. Because I was thinking like, should I send him a screenshot where I'm up to him? Like, nah, he's going to get really angry.
I was like, so pissed,
I've let this man cook, man.
Because like, that's the thing. Like, I bought the deluxe edition because I was going to get if I knew going into it, here's the thing. If I knew going into it that Xbox was the only one to not get early access, probably would have just gotten the standard edition. I'll say it right now. I probably would have gotten standard edition, gotten the DLC if I liked the game. I bought the deluxe edition because of the 24 hours early access, and we're the only ones to not get it. Like, we pay you the $45. We pay the same price as everybody else, and yet we don't get the 24 hours early access. We don't get the one thing that we bought the thing for, and that just, oh my God.
Well, fair enough. I get it. I get it. I understand completely, because if you're paying for, as you said, for that edition, and you meant to get it early, it's just so annoying.
And the fact that Deck 9 or Telltale doesn't comment on it at all.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's so weird. Like, and the fact that Night School didn't comment about like, why isn't it on Xbox? No one commented on it. It's like something's going on with Xbox right now, like, that we don't know about. Like, there's something going on over there that's like Phil Spencer is just trying to keep it like, oh yeah, we love gamers. There's certain things happening where Xbox is getting excluded from things, including the Callisto Protocol. When that game was coming out, they offered to be on Game Pass, and Callisto was like, no, we're not doing that at all. Something's happening, and I don't know, and I want the tea. I want the tea. That's all I want. Can a man get his tea? That's all I need. That's all I want to say. I just wanted to rant about that.
No, I get it. It is annoying, and it's frustrating because you expect that kind of experience.
Yeah,
because I don't like even with like the entire deals like Sony's had with Square Enix and like Final Fantasy and stuff. I'm like, just get it on Xbox. Like, get it on every platform. It's like, I'm bored now.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I loved the console wars and stuff, because it was more. Like, even with the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era, it was better in terms of like the games that were coming out, and the competition was much more fiercer. Now it's like, I'm just in that position where I want all games to be on every console, because it's like, I'm bored now. It's like the games aren't even up to the standard I expect them to be half the time anyway. So it's like, just like, get them on all consoles. It's just easier. Like, I don't really.
That's what I mean. But like,
games. And when I buy them, I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think I would have been way less annoyed if it was like, if you get it on PlayStation, you get it 24 hours early. Yeah, I think I would have been fine with that, because I'm like, okay, you know, that's just reason again to get a PS5. But think about it in your perspective. What if Xbox and PC was the only ones to get early access, and you're left in the dark? Like, what?
Yeah.
Huh? Like, what? Why? If it was just one console got 24 hours early access, I think I would have been like annoying but understandable business wise. It's just weird that Xbox is being left out the loop. So weird. So weird. Yeah. But that's all I had to say. Review time. Yay.
Yeah, review time. Okay, The Expanse. Interesting opener, nonetheless. I kind of wanted to talk to you, just picture side it. Yeah. Do you feel that this is really a Telltale game in parts? Or do you think it's more of a Deck 9 game with a Telltale skeleton crew working on it? Like, it was from the very early moments I got a feeling where I was like, I was like, is this Telltale? Is this Telltale? And this is not in a disrespectful, mean, whatever kind of way. It's just kind of like questioning it. It feels very different.
That's the thing. That's why when you originally said we should do a spoiler cast, I really want to have episode 1 and 2 to make that, because I had that same feeling where I'm like, this doesn't feel very Telltale. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It just is what it is. And that's why I'm like, I'm excited to play episode 2 because I want to know, am I crazy to say that, like, I want the two together to be like, okay, the choices I made in episode 1 like really carried over in a Telltale fashion in episode 2. But for right now, it just feels a little bit off from a Telltale game. Like, I don't really feel Telltale magic just yet. But yeah, no, I think it's more of a Deck 9 choice base kind of place, that rather than like a narrative choice. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I know what you mean.
That's why I'm like, because the way I suggested it was neither negative nor positive. It's kind of just like, it was very neutral, because I'm kind of sitting here thinking like, I'm like, it's on the tip of my tongue of like how I really feel about it. Because it's like, as you said, you can see obviously the lot of Deck 9 development in terms of like how long they've been a studio, the way that they worked on the Life is Strange games. It's very much there in this video game of The Expanse. Yet then there's like moments of like Telltale magic and Telltale nostalgia and Telltale moments, but I'm still kind of sitting there thinking like, like who's the bigger crew on here? Who's working on this? It's like, again, this is and as you said, it's the first episode. Like, there's not really much to go off of here, because there's other things we need to talk about.
Not only the first episode, but it was only like an hour and a half long.
Yeah, should we open that kind of worms first?
Yeah, like
it's very short.
I remember I read reviews like, with it only being 90 minutes long, if you're a completionist, I'm like, wow, really? And then you played it first because you had the early access. I was like, confirm if this is true or not. And you got back to me like, I think you played it in like 70 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an hour and 15 minutes.
It was about an hour and 15 minutes to 30, and when I say this, I was mucking about a lot on that. Like, I was,
I was about to say,
I was floating through different parts of the like the outer space, because I was like trying to see if there's like a hidden collectible somewhere in between things. So like, truly, yeah, I only started picking up pace when you sent me the message. I was like, hang on a minute. I was like, if you say it now, it's like, I need to check this out, at least on my first playthrough. But I was like, at one point, just like floating about. If to get from like main point A to like whichever point it was in the main story, it wasn't long at all. It was like under an hour and a half experience, I think, realistically.
I was about to say, I wasn't rushing my playthrough, and I got it done in about an hour 20. Like, I wasn't even trying to rush it. Like, I was just like saying like, okay, I'm gonna make my choices carefully. Since it's a shorter episode, I'm gonna make my relationships last and see what I want. It took me about an hour 20 minutes, not rushing. I'm like, huh, interesting, weird. Not to say that like every episode needs to be like 2-3 hours long, but it was just interesting that it was that short. Like, wow.
Yeah, because like, so with that, because like, this is my first experience of The Expanse. Like, I was meant to watch the TV show, as I said many podcast episodes ago, but I didn't. As I said to people before, my hobby is currently collecting lists of things that I'm meant to be doing, but I don't do. And there's like a list of TV shows and films I need to watch, and I don't.
Baby. Join the club.
The Expanse is on there. This is my first experience of it, but like, what I found with it being too short was like there were certain characters I didn't spend time with, or so very briefly, in terms of like with Cox, with Khan, with X character. You speak to them over the comms and stuff, but it's like there was just very little interaction with them. Like, Khan is like such a great character introduction. As I said, we're not going spoilers. I'm just naming characters, but one of the best parts of the episode was Khan. Love that character.
Yes.
But with like the actual episode length, yeah, it was too short. It was like kind of looking from point A to point B with like really, there's like mini exploration segments, and like the zero gravity stuff is really great. It's like so much fun as well. I remember like just literally floating around in the most peculiar way, if you ever got that reference. But it's like I was kind of like just enjoying a lot of it and having experiences like a little couple of side. I think there's one side quest in this episode. There's one side mission in the entire episode.
Yes. It's to find like a certain like artifact
Crystal
on the ship. Yeah. There's one side mission, but I didn't complete it because I was like, I don't know what I'm looking for, dude. Like, I try to look everywhere for it. I'm like, I don't know. I give up. You find it yourself, dude.
Yeah, it didn't give you direction of where to find it. It's quite easy to find it once you're there. You just need to like keep an eye out for it. But it was just like, it was a bit strange, like the entire like how short it was an experience. Because like the first episode for me needs to be bigger. So as you see with like, even if you like, if we take some of the previous episodic games that we played, so like even the first Life is Strange, like there's so much context that is established there, substance, exposition on characters. Like it takes much more time. You play like the first episode, you're like, oh, you know, I'm walking through this corridor and getting to Chloe, and I'm doing the same scene again because it's reverse time. But it's like you have to remember the first playthrough, you need to do that because it's refreshing your mind on like, you know, this character's getting time, this character's getting time, this character's getting time. But with this, it's like Kamina, drummer, who you play as the main character, gets most of the time. And it's like all these other really interesting characters are floating around, and they're only very briefly seen or very briefly interacted with. And I'm a bit like, you know, I'm like, that's quite interesting. I'm like, that's not what I expected to be this early in the game. It's easy to pick up, by the way, as a game. Like, I as someone who's never played the Expanse, I kind of got into it. I was like, oh, actually, this is quite interesting. I kind of want to see the TV show now and stuff.
And apparently this is a prequel to the series too. So
so they've added you as a very much early entry point for you where you can get into the game. So obviously, if you know Kamina Drummer, it's like you kind of get the personality. Adam said this with some of his choices. Like I picked some of the choices because I feel like that's how Kamina Drummer would act. But it's like you get early exposition, and it's nice, it's fun, it's soft. At the same time, I like that it's shorter because I played it for that. But at the same time, I was wishing that I just had a bit more time with some of these characters. I'll get more time in the future, but it's like I needed a bit more time. I needed a bit more exposition, just a little bit more. Like if they'd taken another section where you were floating around in space and you could have just explored for a bit, that would have been enough. If you could have got to about the 2 hour mark, I would have been very happy with that. Because I'd be like, actually, there's a bit more to it here.
That's what I mean. It's kind of hard to make a spoiler cast on something that's like, it doesn't really give you a lot of context with a lot of things. I think after episode 2, there will be a lot more to talk about. But for right now, excuse me. But for right now, I don't know. There's not a ton to go off of. It's not necessarily it's a bad game. It's just like it is what it is in a way of just like we got the first episode. It gave a good introduction of like what this game is going to be like, and where this game's going. But it's kind of hard to give my depiction on like, oh, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I need like more episodes to figure that out.
Yeah, I played through like maybe like 4 or 5 hours I put into it. I went through another. I've got 2 playthroughs on the go now, so I've got the opposite choices. So it's quite interesting to see the dynamic work. And there's like 2 major choices in the entire episode you'll find as well, which are quite interesting. They're quite nice as well. I think they both had kind of like quite a bit of a repercussion in certain senses. The main one does as well. Yes. But yeah, I found like those moments like really remind me of Telltale. Obviously, the big repercussion choice, and then like you know this person remembers this kind of thing happening. But it still felt like a little bit like I need a bit more time for it to be shown. And obviously, I think maybe the second episode you'll get it seemed like the early reviews and stuff. I think IGN did one. It's like they've got the first 3 episodes, so they're reviewing it. It's like they're giving it like a X score. And I'm like, actually, is it that? And I'm like, I'm only basing this on like basically an hour and a half I've played.
Yeah.
And again, like, I love it. Like as I said before, I follow Stephen Frost on Twitter, who's the game director. He's buzzing about how successful it is, and kudos to Deck 9 and Telltale. It's like a great collaboration from 2 studios to be like hand in hand, kind of like creating a really great storytelling experience. As I said, it's like something I'd love to see, like Don't Nod X Telltale or something like that. It's like those kind of collaborations are great, but it's just like obviously we can't make full judgments until we see the bigger picture. Like you said to me, like, let's not do spoiler cast. I'm like, yeah, actually, we can't really do it because it's so early on. We don't really know what's happened here. It's like so early. I
would say like after episode 3, we're gonna have a lot more to talk about. But
absolutely,
but yeah. So it's good so far. It's just kind of like I need more to make like a good judgment on it.
Kawaji is very good.
Yes, the Karaji is fantastic, dude. All the voice actors are great in this. And of course, Erica Mori really killing it with the motion capture. So,
there's quite a few
also,
Life is Strange alumnus in the credits.
Yes. I wanted to say that the composer for this, unfortunately, I forgot his name. I have the screenshot of his name. And what's that?
Terrible coming to this podcast and just like now.
Wow. No, it wasn't bad, but I'm like, wow, he really captured the Expanse's music. And the guy that I showed you, actually, I can just look in our messages, that I can just scroll up a little bit. Man, we talk a lot. What are we doing with our lives? Here we go. No, I didn't send you a picture. But yeah, the guy who did the music, it doesn't have a lot of experience in composing. Like he hasn't done a ton. He's only has like 7 credits on IMDb, and like even those are very much indie games. But he did a fantastic job. I'm sorry I forgot your name.
This is why they've delayed the release on Xbox, just to give you context. Is because they don't like Xbox players for this reason. So like just so you have closure on that.
Man, but I researched him and I was like, wow, like no, like whoever composed it. And the bad part about it's not even on IMDb who the composer is. Unfortunately, because I looked on IMDb just to like get his name again, but it's not on there. Maybe they updated it. I'm just making sure. There we go.
Count on this episode is dropping so fast. But yes,
there
continue.
we go. We found it. His name is Jeff Kurtenacker, and he's only done like 8 things, including this. Born Punk, Wildstar, which was a game. I'm just saying this in a way of like, this man doesn't have a ton of experience, and yet the composition in this is like by far like so good and capturing what the Expanse is musically, that it's crazy that this Jeff Kurtenacker doesn't have that much experience and really just nails the composition. So I just wanted to give kudos. I wanted to find his name, Jeff Kurtenacker. Very well done composition. Just want to make that note.
Yeah, it was like a very wholesome experience. Music was nice in that. I'll give you full credit for that. I enjoyed the entire thing. As you said, like I assume Erica Mori must have done the mocap for Kamina Drummer because Kara G's pregnant.
Oh no, it does say in the credits, additional Kamina Drummer performance capture by Erica Mori.
So she must have done like what I'm assuming is that she must have done the more physical things for Kamina Drummer, because Kara G. I think she did the more physical things for Kara G because Kara G's pregnant. Because remember, there was a video a while back where it's like she showed it and she's like pregnant. So I think Kara G's done motion capture maybe for like some of the normal segments, but it's like then Erica Mori has been brought in to do the kind of like other segments here and there where it's like a bit more physical, because obviously you're not going to be moving around if you're heavily pregnant with a child.
Which also Kara G is Kamina Drummer in the show.
Yeah.
No, so it's quite good.
Shout out to those actors as well, and the motion capture team as well. As we said, like, there's a lot of Life is Strange alumnus in there. Anastasia Davison did mocap work in there. Rihanna DeVries did it. Daniel Vivara. So there's quite a few of them in there. You spot them in the credits. And as you said, the motion capture does really work well with that. So Adam, anything else?
Give more credit to smaller composers so that they can make a living.
Yes, that's a good way of ending that. So, as I said, we'll loop back on the episode 2. We'll kind of keep you on track for the next month or so. We'll do this as like a little segment in between episodes, and we'll keep you up to date with that. But go and check out The Expanse as well. The first episode is out. I would recommend it, personally speaking. I think it's a good experience to start off with. Yeah. I assume Adam is the same as well.
As much as I ranted about the whole Xbox situation, I still recommend it. I just don't like the business transaction.
That's the only issue you had with it, though, really, like speaking.
Yeah, no, like I liked it.
Yeah.
But that was more Telltale's fault than anything else. Like the Telltale publishing. Everything else I enjoyed. I very much enjoyed about this game.
Absolutely. So we'll move on to our main topic. I don't know how long this goes on, but it's very casual. As I said, it's basically, StrangeCast episode 50, a look back.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't know how far this podcast...
Are we doing a spread the arts in this section?
We can do spread the arts after.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm going to shock you with mine.
Well, no, spread the arts will stay. I was trying to weigh up like if spread the arts stays and we do the Expanse instead, but I'm like, we'll work way around it and we'll keep spread the arts. It's part of this show of it. But yeah, this is just a general conversation to catch up and 50 episodes of StrangeCast. I still can't believe that this is a thing. I don't know if it would last as long as it does. I think it's probably the last remnants of Life is Strange in terms of someone doing a podcast and keeping up to date with it and keeping it as consistent as it has been, because it's basically for like the last 2 years since we came back from a very mini hiatus, and obviously another hiatus when my father died. We kind of like kept it consistent and dropped like episodes every 2 weeks for like months on end, and people have like tuned in and stuck with it. We've had guests on here. We had Hannah on here, which was one of the episodes where you fell out of the chat because it's like we had technical issues.
Upset about that. I was so upset.
Well, you never know. I think Hannah is one of the people I'd love to have back on here at some point. So I do want to bring her on here because it's like, you know, not many people get the chance to speak to Hannah Tell, and for me, it's like I'm always in awe of the fact that Hannah Tell was like one of my first major interviews I ever did with someone in the journalism industry, and also having had the chance to have her on podcast repeatedly has always been cool. But Hannah's been on here. Day's been on here for one, but that was just me and Day because like arrangement was like a bit difficult. Katie's been on here. Stacey's been on here. Erica Mori has been on here. Erica Mori gave you roasting of a lifetime on here. She came at you like quite a couple of times that episode.
I swear she's from the East Coast, and she's like, nope, West Coast. I'm like, you liar.
Mate, like, she's someone is like, yeah, if you like, you know, when she wants like have a little nip at you, she like has like she like literally like a little bit of a dog. It's like she like
that's what I mean. That's East Coast mentality. Like if you can't take like some of that heat, you better get out of the East Coast.
Yeah,
like go to the Midwest. Why do you think I moved out here? But yeah, no, I was just like very impressive, you know. So like, yeah, Erica Mori was a lot of fun to have on here.
Yeah, it's crazy because I never thought it would go this way. Like even guests, we have Alejandro Arque on here as well, and that was really cool.
I was about to bring his name up. Alejandro is probably one of my favorite guests. Yeah,
it's cool to have Alejandro on here. It's like he's so cool as well, and so chilled, and like his voice is like very soothing to listen to, and it's just quite cool to have him on here. But it's like all the guests that we've had on here, and then even the fans as well. We had Jonathan Panetta on here. We had Alex in the last episode. We were like a kind of like experience of sharing. Like I think like the project of like StrangeCast like kind of evolved over time, and it got better. So it's like for me, like where we're at right now, it's kind of like I'm always happy when we put podcast episodes out, and that's kind of like that's come about because people have supported it. So like over time, like my first episode ever video on the YouTube channel is horrific. Like in terms of I made it so robotic because I was like, I want to do it like journalistic style, and I want to do like question answer, and then kind of like when speaking to people, like they kind of like moved me in direction of like chatting. I think one of the things that happens with people, it's like, you know, everyone wants to start a podcast up, and it's like when you start it and you start a natural conversation, it's more difficult, isn't it, than you actually like hope for. And like for me, I had to get there myself. Like I had to get the right guest, because there's no way this podcast would have worked otherwise, or like the right co-host as well. On top of that, so it's like you need the right balance.
I was about to say, it's like when you contacted me, I already had experience on Games Groceries, and I talked to the likes of Corey Schmitz, who was a graphic designer behind Oculus, the logo behind Oculus and Stray. I talked to RGT85. I talked to one of my favorite guests, Brian McGinnis. The CADcast, I had Wombat and Cheapy D on, so I had some like pretty like good guests where I was just like, I have to be professional and I have to be like chill. So I think like when you asked me on, you're like, please, Adam, please. No, you didn't. So, I think that, you know, if you don't have somebody who doesn't have experience in talking in a podcast or talking with guests, I think it all can crumble, because it is, like you said, like everybody wants to start it, but it's a skill to podcast. Yeah. It's a skill to like stay composed and stay on topic and not go on for an hour and a half talking about nothing. Oh, well, you look at the time. We have an hour 24. But yeah, I like to stay on topic like that. But it is very much a skill that you need to learn. And if you want to start a podcast of your own, doesn't mean you can't build up the skill. It just means that like, hey, go into it knowing that you got to get better at it. It's a skill that you need to get good at. But doesn't mean that you shouldn't. It just means it's just another skill you need to learn.
It's, for me, I've always found it that you have to have a yin and a yang. So I used to do another podcast with my old co-host Chris, and you have to have the right personalities. So it's like for me, like when I was planning the podcast out, and I literally no other person came to, well, not that I know any people, but like there's no other person that came to mind, because I was like, I needed you to do this podcast. This podcast would never existed had you not agreed to it at that point, because like you have to accommodate for all the other parts. Because like when we have other people and they start talking about small talk, my mind is like literally out there, because I absolutely hate small talk. But then that's when Adam comes into the conversation and carries it in the way as you see. If you ever watched the podcast episode, it's always like, I'll start the question, throw something, then Adam will start continue the conversation in some other segue, because it's like he will follow through, because otherwise I've already gone to the next question. I'm like I don't know really how to respond to people.
I have to say that's how I am in real life, like IRL. You know that meme with the guy who always asks the question like, "What do you think about like being in a night school? Like, have you brushed your teeth off?" And like that's me in real life. Just like I just come up to a table, it's like, "What do you think about dinosaur sharks, known as megalodons? What do you think about that? Oh, that's interesting. What did you do for your last birthday?" Like straight up, if you meet me in the wild, that's how I am in real life. Like honestly,
I'm the absolute opposite. I'm the worst.
Oh, so is
in real life.
My wife. Funny story. So we were in a Goodwill one day, right? And a stranger came up to Liz like, "Oh, it's a nice day going around." She's like, mm-hmm. And she just walks away. She just bolts. And same stranger comes up to me, like we're in separate sections. We're looking at our own thing. Same stranger comes up to me, right? And starts up a conversation, and we're just going off. I'm giving him my WhatsApp, like we're just like, "Oh yeah, where you live? Yeah, let's go." Liz comes up to me later, and I was like, "Oh hey, honey." He's like, "Oh, you're married?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh yeah, like I tried to start a conversation with you. I don't think you heard me." And in my head, I'm like, "No, she heard you. She's just scared of people."
Yeah. I'm the same. I like usually say something to someone. It's like I am like, you know, how like you're having a good day. I'm like, no. And I'm like saying that with my head down, thinking like, did I phrase that right? Like, what are they thinking? It's like that's said in the wrong kind of tone. Everything else, I'm definitely not a people person.
Oh yeah.
It's so funny. Like it's like I always said this to people, like even like jobs I've had, like some of the best jobs I ever had was when I was working in hospitality, and people anyone who knew me personally used to laugh about it so much. It's like I've never met a more antisocial person, and like and the way that you act as well. And it's like, and yet you work in hospitality. And I was like, yeah, and I excelled in like, and every time I worked in hospitality, I always excelled, because I could just put on this persona where I acted with people, and they just like really enjoyed like all this people pleasing that I do, and like just kind of like conversations. And it's like for me, otherwise though, I don't really interact with people. I just don't. I'm not a people person. I'm just like I just don't really like have it with that. And the same with the podcast. Like even when I bring like guests on, and sometimes it's like I can have conversation. And like if I warm up something, it's like it's a more kind of like, you know, more kind of like deeper kind of relationship I can have with them. I've had that with now, fortunately, with like Erica Mori and Kylie and you know, Haley Hayes and like Hannah telling all those people. So it's quite cool to have that. But it's like it's always been a little bit. I'm a bit like, you know, I'm hard to have a conversation with sometimes, or hard to kind of keep it in certain ways. And like I don't know if I say something and if I'm deeply offending someone, or if I'm just like saying it as the truth. So it's like for me, the podcast and this podcast to work had to work with you being here to counterbalance it, because otherwise it would literally just slant off the route. Because you can see it with Life After Strange. It's very like I can't keep a conversation naturally going, because for me, I don't really like have that kind of like same endearment where you're like you break down into things. I'm like, let's just move on to the next topic, and we'll move into this conversation.
Yeah,
we'll move into that thing.
Going back to Games Groceries, because I did it with my wife, who, as we described, is a lot like you.
Yeah.
She would just whenever we had a guest, I would just be like talking, and I would like the way my mind works is just like, so there's the topic right here, right? And then they give their answer, and like that's how my mind works. They give me one answer, and I'm just like, it might be just one sentence, and from that one sentence, I'm like, I have so many other subtopics. I'm like, oh wait, let me break that down for a second. And Liz is seeing like the questions that I've written down. She's like, but what about the next question? Like, screw that, I have a million other questions. More to mine was with especially with Patrick Hickey Jr., who wrote The Minds Behind the Games, and man, I went on tangents with him. Liz wanted to be on the other side of just like answering questions, but he gave so many wild answers. I was like, I need to know more. So it's and that's the thing, like in terms of podcasting, you need to have that balance of somebody who goes in the next topic, but also have the skill of understanding that there can be more broken down for the audience to know more. That's just another skill. Adnan has a skill of knowing when to stay on topic. I have the skill of knowing, oh, there can be more broken down, and both are very valid, and both are skills that you need to know in podcasting.
Yeah, like it's both vital skills, especially like having worked in journalism as I've done as well. You need both of them, but like sometimes I just walk away from the conversation. I'm done with it. I'm happy with that part, and I'm like, but instead sometimes you do need to realize it's crazy because like, as I said, you have the guests and you have like I've felt that with some of the episodes we had, like the dynamic you have with some of the guests as well, like with Kylie and Erica and Stace. You have like so much fun talking to them. You can talk for hours. Like I think the Erica Mori one's the longest we've ever had for a guest as well. It's like 2 hours long. It's like I could have talked to her for like even longer, for like even more hours. So it's just nice to have that kind of like experience with the guests. And like I feel like for you, it must have been quite nice to have like what we've had with the podcast, because obviously like for me, I've done this for a while. Right, actually, hang on a second. I'm going to let my cat out. So unfortunately, you're going to see the magic here of a cut, and we'll come back. So we'll resume from the cut here, and I know where I'm going with this as well. One of the things I liked about this podcast was I imagine that this opened up more to Life is Strange for you as well, because like for me, like I've had that opportunity with Life After Strange to speak to like, oh God, like 30 actors now plus at this point, and I've spent loads of time in Life is Strange. I covered it in the press. I knew, like, as I said, I've known Luke Bagados for like 8 years now, and known Michelle for like X amount of years because I covered the games. And then it's kind of like Luke was kind of like interacting with this, and I've had the opportunity to kind of like, well, we've had the opportunity actually to integrate Don't Know Montreal in here. But it's like with this as well, I've kind of helped open doors for like your experience with other stuff about Life is Strange as well. Like, you spoke to Katie before, you spoken today, but then it's like I could bring on like people like Hannah, and I could bring on people
because
like
of this show that Kylie was on my first EP. Like it's because of that. I had written the character of Naoma for The Essence of Life, and I was like, I don't know who I want for this, because I had someone in mind and I didn't know like who could play it. And the more we talked to Kylie and the more she spoke and the more her attitude came out, I was like, right there, that's Naoma. Oh my God. Like I just like freaked out. I was like, that's who I want to cast. And it's because of this show that I got like the perfect Naoma. So the music in The Essence of Life might not be produced that well, but I'm very proud of both Marcus and Kylie like doing that, and it's because of the show that Kylie was the perfect Naoma.
Yeah, I remember you saying to me, because it's like you're like yeah, that's the person I want for the voice. I've always felt like with Kylie, because like when you speak to Kylie, it's like talking to Rachel Amber. It's like scary. It's like how like when you hear that voice, even with like Max is Hannah Tell. Like Hannah Tell is just like Max. So it's like when you speak to her, and even like when I spoke to her first episode I launched of Life After Strange many years after, it was like I remember her come on the track, she's like hello, and I had my head down. I was like, Max. I was like, no, that's actually that's Hannah, isn't it? But with like with that, I remember because afterwards you felt a bit defeated because like, you messaged her on Twitter, and it's like you're like, oh, she didn't respond to my message. It's like here's her email.
Yeah,
email her. I was like, she's
had like 10 other actresses in mind, and they just did not fit the role of Naoma that I had in my head. Kylie fit it, and I was like, please, like I need to know like how can I cast Naoma, so yeah, you helped me out with that a lot for this podcast.
I just enjoyed the opportunity with that, because as I said, like it kind of for me brought in more of the Life is Strange world for you as well. Like I and for me it's opened up more things. So as I said to you, like my entire like relationship with Luke was spent heavily like writing reviews. He'd like retweet them, or like writing interviews covering Life is Strange, and he'd retweet them. And then it's kind of like I fell out of the industry, came back in it, kept jumping in different points. Then it was like the Deck Nine stuff, etc. in between it. And it's like I was constantly moving back and forth. And it's like kind of like for this podcast has brought him more close to me in terms of like the relationship I've spent with him, and just having to kind of interact with things. And same with Michelle as well. Like I got a follow from Michelle because of like this podcasting as well, and also because of Luke as well. So it's like it's kind of like nudged him in the direction, then also moved me into kind of like radius of Don't Know Montreal people who I've been able to follow. Then for me, even having an opportunity to speak to Webb and go on his live streams. So it's opened loads of doors for me. But then I've enjoyed the fact that I've been able to bring all these like great guests I've had the opportunity to speak to on like Life After Strange, then bring them on here for you to have a chat with, like Stace and Maury and Kylie and all those other guests that we've had on. And as I said, even bring on Alejandro. Like, I follow Alejandro for like 5+ years or so on Twitter or something, even longer.
Yeah,
and I've always had like interact, like here and there interactions, but I was like, I've never spoken to this guy. It's like he worked on Life is Strange. Why am I not speaking to him? It's like, why don't I invite my podcast? And it's like, comes on, and it's like, and then we get to chat with him, and he's so cool. I could literally have sat without, like, that's the kind of guy you want to go to like a pub with and like drink 3 or 4 beers and smash them down, because he's so cultured and everything, especially like all his other interests as well, not even outside of Life is Strange. So for me, it's been great. And even like, just as well, as I said, the podcast has just grown. It's grown like slowly. We see a massive uptick on like people who follow on Spotify. Like we have over 4,000 listens on podcast services. I had never any intention to put it on podcast services. It was only until like you came on board with the project. We started very early off. It was like so dated at that point. We were doing it on Zoom calls. We were doing it on like...
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we were doing it on Zoom calls with like no consideration of quality of audio and stuff. And it was through the people who commented on the videos and people who gave us feedback. It's like, why don't you try a different platform? And I'm like the most stubborn person anyway. I was like, you don't really need it. And then you were like, maybe we should try it. Like there's different options. I was like, actually, we'll look into it. Looked at Zencastr, recorded once, and I was like, this is outstanding, the quality. I was like, let's look for another platform. And then I think you suggested Riverside to me, didn't you, as well?
I suggested both Zencastr and Riverside because I knew of their existence.
Yeah.
But I didn't really need it for Games and Groceries because I did it in such a wonky way.
Yeah.
We recorded ours on Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the best platform to do it? It's questionable. But I knew of these platforms. I just never really thought to do it on my own. And we're doing on Riverside now, and it's better than Zencastr. Zencastr kept cutting. It was because of Zencastr that I couldn't talk with. Yeah, talk to him. Tell it cut me off, and I was like, "What the heck?"
Threw you a real horrible twist and turn. That one, that was just like really unfortunate.
Pissed. Yeah, I was just like upset. Like I left the room.
But I would be pissed as well as Hannah Tell of all people. I was like so excited to bring her on for have a chat, and she's also a musician as well. On top of that,
and she talked about music, and I was like, "Dang it, dude!"
That was the worst part about the actual episode. I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Where's Adam?" I was like, "I left all the music questions here for Adam." He's like,
I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" So pissed, but it is what it is. It was Zencastr that did that, but.
But yeah, as he said, like even I can't look back from what we use now, like on the platform. It's like so much better in quality. And it's like, as I said, it's all evolved because of people's feedback. Like we've had continuous people who popped up in the episodes, like in the comments and stuff. People who've given feedback. Like episode 50, I'm happy with where the podcast is. It's like it's slowly getting better, and it's going to keep getting improvement. I've improved my camera recently just to kind of get more quality. Even have my little arm here as well with the microphone. It's like it's all little setup and tweaks, and that will keep changing in the episodes going forward. But generally speaking, it's just nice to have people who have supported and essentially given like feedback that has made it to where it's at, because otherwise we'd still be on Zoom doing the calls, becoming a stubborn little person that I am and doing that. I had no consideration for it because I was like, I'm recording my voice and keeping it as it is, and Adam's recording his voice and doing it as it is. This cuts down half the labor as well for me on Riverside. I'm like, this is actually great, and the way that it records it as well is actually probably the best thing we could have hoped for outside of being in the same room. So for me, like I've generally enjoyed like StrangeCast where it's got up to. As I said, it's been like, up and down roads here and there, and it's like been little issues, but it's evolved because of people who've given feedback. Like it would never have been on a podcast service had people not said, "Can you get on podcast services?" Because I wanted all the traffic to come to the YouTube channel. Now it goes to podcast services. It gets disseminated to all the different platforms. We have over 4,000 listens the last time I checked on there, and that's from basically backlogging episodes. I think like 12 episodes we backlogged first, then started uploading every 2 weeks on there. And on top of that, I think like every couple of days I check in, and it's like the Spotify account goes up in terms of followers. We have like 140 plus followers at the minute. And it always keeps going up. So it's just nice to have that kind of thing. And even like last video that we put out, I think someone posted a comment saying it's really nice that you keep producing videos and this kind of content. And it's like, those are the things that keep us going. That's why it is, because like, for example, like essentially, and as Adam said before, like Riverside, we basically hemorrhage money from doing this on the podcast. Like I've paid for the monthly fee. I don't sit down and say to subscribers, pay for the money and pay for this. I'm like, this is out of our own kind of like enjoyment that we do this, and for other people's enjoyment as well. So it's like, I never ask for other people's money, never do that. And it's like subsidizing the cost of it. Yeah, it's not a huge amount of money, but still you are putting your own money in towards something. This setup costs money. your setup costs money and stuff like that, but we never put that in there. It's just more people to come in here, enjoy it. And the fact that when I always see it with people when they struggle, when they straddle onto the channel and they find it, it's just like, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're here. I'm happy you're enjoying the podcast. I'm happy we can have discussions here. I'm happy we can have like Life of Strange Actors here, there, and then. And it's like, I'm happy we can get this guest on here. I'm happy we can spotlight the community. We can happily spotlight people like Jonathan Panetta, Alex from the community. We can spotlight this person. We can have conversations here. We've had a developer on here before. We've had actors appear on here. It's not always going to happen every week because scheduling is just a nightmare. Because as I said, me and Adam are currently in different time zones. But for generally speaking, I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's like we said, we try to make the time for it, and there's still a community base that's still growing. So yeah, it's a good thing. Do I wish that time zones were a thing, and I didn't have to wake up at 5 a.m. on my days off? But like that's the thing. If you want to do anything, like it takes sacrifice. Like right now. This isn't just the only thing, but like I'm sacrificing a lot of my free time for producing music. So it's kind of like one of those things. I'm like, if you want to, do anything, if you want to do anything creatively, sometimes you got to sacrifice time. You sacrifice your free time. If it's something you want to do, unfortunately, it's sacrifices thing. Sleep is one of those sacrifices. So, that's the thing. If you really believe in yourself, if you really believe that this is what the thing you want to do is, you'll make those sacrifices, because someday it will lead to something that you can have more free time again.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it's nice because I always appreciate that you come on early doors, and it's like when I remember when we did the Eric and Moore episode, I was like up to like 1 o'clock at 1 o'clock in the morning. So it was like going on, and then you guys like, oh my god, it's worried. It's like so late. I'm so sorry. I'm like, no. It's like Adam gets up at X amount in the morning.
Wave.
It
was during a heat wave where your train tracks were melting, and you had no air conditioning.
I was wearing my running outfit. Like Erica said, I was like, Erica, I'm not going for a run because it's like currently 10 o'clock at night here. I was like, I'm currently wearing this because I'm dying from the heat. It was like 30 something. Oh god, it was so hot. And obviously, again, if you live in the UK, our houses and stuff aren't built for heat. They're built to keep heat in them. So when it gets hotter, it gets the entire like house into a furnace. So it's like, that was one episode, but yeah. No, as I said, well, I think we can wrap up here on this segment. Yeah. So as I said, 50 episodes. It's been great. 50 to more. Hopefully, I think with the next episode, we are planning a guest on there. So I'm hoping to work on that, and hopefully it'll be quite a good way to mark off 51 to 100 in terms of episodes. So do stay tuned. But yes, Adam, spread the arts.
Yeah. You want to go first, or?
I'll let you go first. You seem to be burning about it before. There was I could see the tingling in his eyes.
So you're going to hate me. You're going to hate me. God. But it's not about Barbenheimer. I did Barbenheimer, and I enjoyed my time. That's all I'll say. I also saw the first Meg. That was cool. It was about Dinosaur Shark. But that's not my spread of the arts. So I beat this last night. I finally beat it. I did it. I beat it. It's my favorite game of all time.
Jesus.
So I have some things to say about this. Just a little rant. This is it actually turned out. I put down the controller. I was like, this is my favorite game of all time. But is this 10 out of 10? No. Like, if anything, I would give this an 8 out of 10. I would give this a solid review. But for people to say it is the greatest game of all time, I don't agree with that. The reason, so I want to go on a small, like very, very small review on this because it's been said to death. Yes, I am going to get Tears of the Kingdom. But why is this my favorite game of all time? Because it hits all the marks for me as someone who has ADHD, OCD. I have a lot of just like sporadic, as we said, where my brain works, where I say a question, another person says the answer, and I go, this is me in a game. Because all this does is just says like, hey, go out to Hyrule. And it's like, what do I do? Whatever you want. I don't care. And then you go and say like, hey, there's 4 divine beasts you have to do. Do I have to do it in a particular order? No. Do I have to do these to go get Ganon? Like, No, go get Ganon now. I don't care. Go. Bye. And there's just so many times in this game where it doesn't hold your hand. You just do the game you want to do. You can go out and beat the Divine Beast. You don't have to defeat Divine Beast. You can go defeat Ganon. You don't have to defeat Ganon. Just enjoy your time. It's literally one of those games where it hits all the serotonin, hits all the ADHD that you want. It lets you play the game that you want to play and explore the way you want to explore. And the music is so iconic and yet so anti-present. Like it's just there for ambiance and not there to give you anxiety. Like, hey, there's an enemy nearby. It's like, oh, no, it's just there just to be like a nice little violin and a nice little piano. You can just be in this game and just have a nice time, chill. I spent 60 hours in this game. I beat it last night. Breath of the Wild. I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet. I will today. This is my favorite game of all time. Is it a 10 out of 10? No. I'm not going to say this is like the greatest game of all time, but in terms of like how I play a game and how my mind works, this is the game for me. That's why I would not say this is not the game for Adnan. Adnan would hate this game so much because, again, your brain works in like next thing. Like there isn't no next thing. This is just,
oh God.
Yeah, this is ADHD in a game. This is just like if you want direction in a game, not the game for you. Like this is just like go out and explore. Like what do I do next? I don't care. You do it.
Speaking on that point,
yeah,
one of the things I hate in a video game is when there's two routes.
Yes.
And it's like, do I go down this route and it's going to go to the main story? Can I go down this one to get collectibles? And my main obsession is to get collectibles. And yes. I can't tell you how angry I've ever been when I go down the main route and it triggers the next part. And I've skipped the next scene because I will turn off the console or exit it, restart it, and get back to where I'm going for the collectible because I'm not going to do.
This has like 8.
Oh my God, it annoyed me that. Yeah,
that's what I mean. That. This is not the greatest game of all time. For people to say that means that like every person will connect to this game.
Yeah,
I don't think it does. It took me. This is my 3rd try at this game because the first 2 times I was just like, I don't get it. I don't understand. But then I sat down and then really started to like, okay, I'm going to commit to this. Mm-hmm. And once I got past that commitment stage, I'm like, oh my God, I get it now. Holy crap. Yeah, Breath of the Wild is the game for me. It's not the game for everybody. It's not the greatest game of all time. But for me, as someone who is my brain works like that, oh my God, this is so good. Which is why I recommended to you, Adnan, Oxenfree. I know you would connect to Oxenfree. But for me, if you watch the show and you relate a lot to me, play Breath of the Wild. Relate a lot to Adnan.
By the way, every listener who watches this show relates more to you than me. Not many people ever relate to me. That does not work. I don't think I've ever heard anyone who says I relate to Adnan.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you want a game that doesn't hold your hand and you don't have objections, like it's just like play the game you want to play. This is the game for you. This is my favorite game of all time. I'm saying that right now. It was good. It's not the game for everybody. For people to say it's the greatest game of all time, I don't agree with that. I don't. It's not going to connect with everybody. It's just not. Like
it's quite an interesting pick that. I can't get into Zelda. I don't like Zelda. I've always said this to people, I don't like it. I just can't get into it. I don't understand it. I don't understand why it's so hyped up. It's never been
That's
my
what
thing.
I mean. I don't think that Zelda is for everybody. Like it's just not. In the same way that Mario isn't for everybody. It's just not. Skyrim isn't for everybody. So like for people to say like this is the greatest game, I'm like, for it to be the greatest game, it needs to connect with every single gamer. I think Breath of the Wild is the closest it can get because you can play it however you want. You know, I think it's close. But to say that it will connect with every gamer, I think it's just because my wife watched this and we just established that she's a lot like your mindset. She watches me play it and she's like, I don't have the patience for this. I'm like, I don't have patience, which is why I play this game because I'm just like, there's so many times in this game, like, okay, time to defeat Ganon. I'm like, yeah, but I gotta pick these flowers first. The flowers need picking, and I need to make a bouquet right now. It's like, okay, now you gotta go defeat Ganon. Like, I gotta go in this cave first. I gotta see what's in this cave. I gotta see what's in the cave first. But no, it's great for me, not for everybody. But so far, I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, but this is my favorite game of all time.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, there's a good shout. That.
Yeah.
As I said, I don't like Zelda, and there's only one great.
No, you won't.
There's only one greatest game of all time, and that's Metal Gear Solid, and I need to put that in every episode reference because that's a staple. But okay. So I'm very torn about what I'm going to do to spread the odds. Mine was just going to be The Expanse because I wanted people to go and play it. So I think I have watched other things. So just to not say that I'm copying out of it, I'm just going to go with The Expanse.
Yeah, go for it. Like it's something that needs attention.
Yeah, I want people to go and play it, if anything. I'm not doing this as we didn't get review codes for the other section, by the way. We didn't get anything else from it. I just generally enjoyed it. I vibed off it. I really went in there with an open mindset with The Expanse because like I could really, really dislike this just from the concept alone. And it's like I only heard about The Expanse in passing. I know it's an Amazon series. People have talked about it, but I was like, I don't know if it's going to really resonate with me. I don't know if it's something that's going to really be something that I'm interested in. But finishing it, and by the time I got to the end of it, I was thinking like, I want to start the TV show. And I'm currently not sure where I want to start the TV show now, or if I want to wait for the game to be fully out. I play all the episodes, and then I can be like, okay, I want to go and see where the source material is and check it out from that. So either way, I kind of wanted to use The Expanse as my pick here because I think, generally speaking, if you like Deck 9 games, and we talk about Deck 9 games all the time on this podcast, you know, you're going to be happy. If you love Telltale, and I don't think I've ever met anyone who doesn't like Telltale. You can be critical of their games, and fair enough, totally. But I think like I've never met anyone who doesn't like a Telltale game. You'll thoroughly enjoy it. It's great. So I think, like, generally speaking, and the only thing, as I said, the only thing the issue is for me at the minute is the length of the game at this point. I had two takeaways on that first episode. Was the length of the game needs to be longer. The first episode alone, at least, it just needed 30 minutes more, at least substantially, to make a bit more kind of like development of the characters and a bit of development of the story here and there. And the other thing was just that question I pitched to Adam very much when we started earlier, which was like, do you feel that this is a Telltale game or more of a Deck 9 game? Or it was like, how do you feel about the vibe of it? Because this is technically Telltale's first game since episode 4 of The Walking Dead.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. And that was back in, I was still living in New York when that happened. So
Jesus,
2017, 2018? Because I left New York in 2019. So it had to happen like 2018, I think.
Damn. But, so like that's what it means. Like, so the first outing of Telltale, this seems like more from like the early days of Telltale, at least in terms of like their skeleton crew, their kind of like early development in the studio. Our first outing of Telltale truly is going to be the Wolf Among Us 2. Like when we see like
I agree,
a fully self-developed Telltale game, and they're working on it, etc. That's going to be it. This is obviously heavily needed Deck 9's position on it. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed it. So I wanted to use my position to spread the arts here to go and play it. Again, I don't want to say any spoilers, don't want to say anything about the story. I just generally think if you go into it, I think you'll kind of get into it if you never watched The Expanse like me. So that is going to be my recommendation for Spread the Arts.
Nice. All right.
Lovely. So we will call it a day here. Just try and get under the 2-hour mark. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, thank you for joining us on this journey. It has been 50 episodes. It has been crazy. I never thought we'd get to 50, let alone, 5. I think like I just try and treat day by day with things. Sorry, my cat's currently meowing at me whilst I'm doing this outro. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider dropping us a subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video, and share with your friends. Helps keep up to date with the channel. Helps you support the channel more than anything else as well. And also, StrangeCast is available on all podcast services as well, so you can check us out on those platforms, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. But let us know in the comments if you played The Expanse. Let us know your thoughts about the comic series. As I said, again, one massive thank you from me and Adam. Again, this podcast just continues to pick up 1 or 2 numbers with people. People have continued to support it. They continue to interact with our videos. As I said, just unequivocally, thank you. It's just nice to know that we can keep supporting people with content and keep them up to date with things. So we'll round up episode 50. Stay tuned. Hopefully episode 51, we do have our very special guest on, just currently sorting that out. In the meantime, take care. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.